Good evening and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this evening. Where do we go from here? Let's face it, it is not all over for the fat lady sings, but if it was to happen, who would be your next Celtic manager? Who would be your next Celtic manager? Tell me in the comments. But before we go on about that, let's talk about Brendan Rodgers and the upcoming fixtures. So what went wrong with what's happened this season? What's happened to Brendan Rodgers as a manager, first of all? When we look at Brendan Rodgers' first stint at Celtic, we had the invincible treble. We went unbeaten domestically. We had our second treble before he left for Leicester in 2019. When you look at it, many of the fans at the start of the season did not want Brendan back. There was quite a lot of fans did not want him back, and especially after the League Cup exit in August against Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock, that is a team that's been a bogey team for Celtic over the years. Been a massive bogey team for Celtic over the years. So as it stands, Celtic are currently sitting top, second top of the league with unrest and managerial change around over the other side of the city. We didn't take advantage of it. Or did we take advantage of it? At one point, we were 10 points ahead of the Rangers at one stage this season. But now we find ourselves 2 points behind. When it comes to playing on Sunday, it could be the fact that we could be 5 points. Back in December, Brendan Rodgers said it's the angriest he's ever been when Celtic went in at half time to St Johnstone. Now, is it just you or is it me as well? Because I'm now thinking that Brendan Rodgers was going, oh, I could crush a grape. It is that bad at Celtic just now. It is that bad. But as a manager, you think he would be able to turn it around. He went on, he spoke about ambition. He spoke about the final third. He spoke about quality this season. This has all been terms that Brendan Rodgers has spoke to us in the press about. Quality, the final third, the final pass, and the final third. These were all excuses that he made up until now. As a seasoned Celtic fan of far too many years, I seen a picture of myself in a Celtic top back in the late 70s this morning. We've been some of us as Celtic fans have been there, seen it, and done it all before. Which then leads to the question: if, and I'm going to say if with a caveat, because I still think that it could be in our hands. It could be in our hands to go on and turn it around if the team and the manager has the mentality and that winning persona to do so. But if all hell breaks loose and we find ourselves at the end of the season and we want to change of manager, and the question is just if. I don't want Brendan Rodgers sacked. I said last night it would be wrong to sack Brendan Rodgers just now. As far as I'm concerned, it would be completely wrong to sack Brendan Rodgers. And why? Because there's still so many games to play. Do you know, there's still so many games to play, and there's not enough time for another guy to turn it around. If I'm being perfectly honest, there's not enough time for another manager to turn it around. Not even Pep Guardiola could turn it around, according to one Celtic player. But if it was to happen, and at the end of the season, the manager is asked to leave, let's face it, he won't walk away twice. He will have to be asked to leave. It'll come out from Celtic that if it does happen, that they decided to part ways. That'll be the line that they go down. Brendan Rodgers and Celtic have decided to part ways. If that happens, who would you like as the next Brendan Rodgers as the next manager of Celtic Football Club? And in the thumbnail for the video, I did put in cheekily, I put Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola has decided that he's had enough of Liverpool and he can't take Liverpool any further. Should Celtic push the boat out and get Pep Guardiola? Or will they go to Bobo Glint? Will they go to Bobo Glint and bring in Kudson? A manager that Celtic was linked with before, Brendan Rodgers, a manager that a lot of Celtic fans would have welcomed to Celtic Park because he'd done it in Europe. He'd managed to get Bobo Glint into Europe and he'd done quite well with them, considering the finances that they have. Celtic finances dwarf Bobo Glint. Let's not deny it. I mean, our finances dwarf them. And then you know what will happen. We'll go back to the Scotland manager that we tried to get in years ago, Stevie Clark. Stevie Clark, the man who thought about it, but was offered the Celtic job, and then he went, nah, I'm going to go for the Scotland job. And he hates the Huns, and you can see Celtic going down that route. He plays crap football. He plays defensive football. He plays five at the back at games. Is that really the type of manager that you want in? Bring Scott Brown under a manager, says Kakawaka. I don't think that that's going to be right. But anyway, let's jump into the comment section and I'll see what some of you have been saying. Goodson, get him a sight and attacking football. He plays his team like Postacoglu. Tamak says, hello. Paul McLean says, Michael Beale. Michael Beale is now a manager that will go down in history as the worst ever manager of Rangers and of Sunderland in the same season. Is that really the guy that you want? And Zatlan, come on. You're never going to get Zatlan at Celtic. Never going to get him. Rodgers is pish manager. The only one trebles because the pagans, the Hun pagans. Oh, jeez. Who would want to come in if Lawwell is there? That takes us on to the second half of the video that we'll talk about because let's face it, if you're going to, you can't just change the manager. There has to be. We're at a crossroads as a club. If you ask me personally, we're at a crossroads as the club. We're at a crossroads where do we keep on going down the same route? Do we keep on going down? We get a manager in, we buy in cheap, we sell the players, we try and blah 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 blah. We've done this for many years now. And whilst a lot of people will say, look, the board have done okay. You look at the finances, you look at what we've won over the last 10 to 15 years. You could then say, right, when it comes to the crunch, this same board has not been the board that put them to the sword and decided to go, you know what? We want to be the dominant force. Peter Lawwell said it many times at AGMs. He wants to be the dominant force in Scottish football. But he doesn't want to get his foot and he doesn't want to squash it on the head and the brain of the opponents. That's Peter Lawwell's downfall. Let's face it, when they had Pegleg, Murray in charge, they would do whatever was needed financially. And we all know what happened there. I'm not saying that Celtic need to go down the road where they're going to be over exuberant with the cash, but there has been times where Celtic could definitely have spent a bit more money to guarantee the fact that we stayed dominant. And it's as simple as that. It's Scottish football. I keep on hearing this thing, but it's Scottish football. It's Scottish football. On one bit, we're trying to talk up the Scottish game, and on the same thing, we're talking about Scottish football, and this seems to be the narrative this week, is you can't have Celtic and Rangers both doing well. That's the narrative of Scottish football, which means the rest of Scottish football is just pished and it's a 2-horse race. So we should maybe just put the league down to about fucking 10 games a season. That's the scary narrative that we're getting into within the realms of Scottish football. That's a discussion for a whole nother video. Do we need a director of football? Says Graham Hardy. We also need a director of football, says Graham. Cool Daddy says, some say don't panic, but we've just thrown away a 10-point lead. When do we panic? Lawwell out the club or his future Tory dinosaurs? Ange Post, his arse is collapsing with Tottenham Hotspur. A lot of people said that would happen. He's a manager that's went into teams that have been fighting for something that haven't been as good as what they could. He's never had the type of money, and I don't want to even talk about him actually. He's never had the type of money, and he's never had the experience to go after 50 to 100 million pound players. He's never had to work with them before. So that says it all about him. Anyway, Michael Ross, how are you this evening? I'd win the league if the board gave me money. Say the fact that Rodgers can't motivate these players. There's one thing that has to be said about a manager motivating players, and we've seen it at Celtic far too many times over the years. It's not just the fact that the manager can't motivate a player; it's the fact that if the board are not playing ball with whatever they promised players, and especially ones that wanted away or ones that thought they were going to get big transfer deals, like happened during the 10 in a row season. There was a lot of players that thought they would get away, but during COVID and everything, transfers were kind of cut off that year. So, as much as we want to blame Brendan, I think that the board have to hold their head high. Now, you remember the Green Brigades put out a banner many, many years ago under Brendan Rodgers' first time, and the banner had Lowell and co in a car, and I'm sure Brendan was in the car, and it was "Don't fall asleep at the wheel." The Celtic board have fallen asleep at the wheel. They've definitely fallen asleep at the wheel. Chris M says the board priorities in order: preserve old firm, Scottish football brand, not running away with it, success on the cheap, demands of the fans, progress in Europe. Yeah, Chris, you've probably hit the nail on the head there. The board do want to maintain the Old Firm brand, although the Old Firm died in 2012, and that is the end of it. They died in 2012, but they want to maintain that for the good of the Scottish game. They want to see a strong them. The board they'll not come out and say it publicly, but they want to see a strong them so that they can get a better TV deal. If you ask me, the only way you're going to get a better TV deal is if you put it down to only playing each other twice a season. Make it something meaningful. This playing each other 4 times a season, we're digressing again. We're digressing again all over the place. That's another video chat. We have to go down to playing each other just twice a season. Make it meaningful. Playing each other 4 times a year, it gets to the stage where it's not meaningful. It's embarrassing that if that's all that Scottish football has to give, it is completely embarrassing. And but then other teams will say, "Well, look how many points that Celtic have dropped." I seen one earlier actually, and I probably lost. I wait till I get the lead back. When you look at the amount of games that we have drawn this season at home, we've drawn 3 games. Okay, we've lost one in the league at home. Away, we've drawn 2 games, and we've lost one away. Those kind of stats in any normal year wouldn't be too bad. But when you've got a team that is right behind you, and let's face it, going back to the 80s, you had teams that were a lot closer. You like your Hearts, your Dundee United, your Aberdeen were all be closer. And although only losing that many games could probably see you through a season, right now it can't. Right now it can't. The goal difference, when you look at the goal difference we had, I think we were sitting at around about 12 to 13 goals to the good at one point. We're now sitting goals behind. And it doesn't really bother me because, when it comes down to it, we need to go on and win. Brendan Rodgers spoke about intensity. He's spoken about mentality of the players. He's talked about reactions in the second half. Chris Sutton went on yesterday to say that he's never seen so many teams come back at Celtic in the second half. Gone are the days where Celtic would maybe let teams get away with it the first half, and in the second half they would just turn up and then turn it on. The lack of desire, the lack of passion, is really poor at Celtic just now. The fact that Callum McGregor's got to go into the dressing room and tell these younger guys, and is it the fact that Celtic board and the guys that are putting the players through to Brendan aren't giving players that are experienced enough? Brendan Rodgers has said, talked about experience, and we're running a team of youngsters, which is all fine and dandy in the grand scheme of things. Because let's face it, Manchester United under Fergie, Alex Ferguson was told that you would never win the English Premiership, the English League, with a group of youngsters when he got rid of all his experienced players. But what he had a group of young players that came through the Man United system that were hungry and were going to be the future of the club. We don't even have that. We don't have that. We're buying in players and hoping. We're buying in players to try and make them better. We're not using our youth system, the likes of what Fergie did at Manchester United. And I think the only way for changing Scottish football is it's time to change the league format, unfortunately. A top team, a top league of 12 is just nonsense. The split is complete nonsense. It is just, that is past its sell by date. And I mean, that's not the first time. Just because we're not top of the table, this isn't the first time I've spoke about this. I have spoke about this before. We need to change the league format. We need to get rid of this top six split. Keep the playoffs at the end of the season because that's good for the bottom end of the table. But everything else we need to change, and we need to stop playing each other 4 times a season. It's horrible. It's just horrible when it's mundane and it's boring. It's getting boring. But it hasn't helped us just now. And the only one that can help us just now is Brendan Rodgers. He's got to be the manager that gets these players into training today. I mean, I can imagine what training was like today. They'll all be sitting around the television. Palmer would have had a fucking red neck because he would have been like, right, fair enough, I should have passed. Players would be like, fucking, why did you not pass here? Why did you not pass here? I hope the players were arguing amongst themselves today, and I hope there was a lot of players who had a bit of reality. And I don't want to see any Celtic player on social media this week, including Lewis Palmer, who thinks that life's all about being on fucking Instagram. He needs to get his head down, and if he wants his big move to Spain, he needs to get his head down and fucking work hard. And do that. Anyway, let's get some of the comments in from everyone that's online. Let me see. Lanky is in the house. Lanky, I say this: we will win the league 100%. Says Lanky. I still think we can. I still think we'll win the league, but all I'm saying is, if it happens, who do we get in as manager? Green literally says, totally agree, 18-team league and play each other twice. But the TV would say no. They would say no. Well, when you look at the TV deal that we've got, it's absolutely rubbish and it's pathetic. And I think there's a lot better TV deals out there to be had. Martin says, I'm confident that we can still win the league. Let's be honest, they are shit. Jock Law says, the Huns have won the cup. And they're still in Europe and the top of the league. Can anybody see the issues here? They're still in Europe. Let's not forget that when they were in the Champions League, they were the worst ever team to be in the Champions League. And I've said it before, I think that Europa is our level. The Europa is Scottish football's level. It's not just Rangers level. If they go into the Champions League, they're going to get absolutely smashed to bits also. They're going to get 60 million for doing it next year if they win the league, but hopefully that won't happen. Lanky says they need to play more games than us. With them in Europe competition, they'll get players injured. Fans need to keep the heat, says Lanky. To be honest, this could be the COVID season all over again. I blame the board, says Michael. James White says, the guy at Bobo Glint, he's a winner. And I'm sure he is up, his contract ending this summer. Toxicity, yeah, Baz. Toxicity? What's toxic about this channel? Nothing. There's toxicness at the club, but that sits in the boardroom, and you're not going to get that on here. Green actually sounds good, but playing the Dross every week will not help us. How will it not help us? Because if you want Scottish football to get better, right, you're wanting. So am I right in saying that you're saying that keep it at the status quo? Because I can't believe that you're saying that, right? Do you think that Barcelona, when they go down to Granada, right? Do you think that Barcelona said, oh, we need to shorten the league because going down to fucking Granada and they're pish. When they go down to Almeria, when Barcelona and Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid go down to Almeria and they play Almeria, and do you think that they're saying we need to shorten the league because that team's rubbish? Is that what you're really saying? Because there's a lot of crap teams in the lower leagues in Spain. Look at Elche. Elche's just up the road for me. They finished about 12th 2 seasons ago. And then last season, they were the whipping boys. Now, Elche has got a far better stadium than 98%. In fact, after Celtic, I think they've got a stadium that's on par with Celtic. and they're playing in the lower division in Spain. They're playing in the second division in Spain. That's a couple of videos I'm going to do. I'm going to show you some of the stadiums around here, and and see how you think that they compare to the likes of Scottish football stadiums. Because saying that the likes of playing Dundee United, playing Rafe Rovers. Now, did you see that goal for the Rafe Rovers player, by the way, at the weekend? What a screamer that was! If you're saying, if Baz, you're talking shite, Almeria play football, they don't park the bus like Scottish teams. Yeah, exactly. But they're still shite. They're still down the bottom of the Spanish league. If the league was better, look, teams only park the bus when they play us because of our style of football. If you're going to bring in more teams, right? If you want to keep it at 12, fucking hang it up, and just keep it at the 12. If you want to keep it at the 12, um, you can't see the bigger picture. That's all I'm saying. We've all got our own views, but if you think to playing Dunfermline, Rafe Rovers is going to be bad for Scottish football, Falkirk. If you think that bringing them back up into a league and going to those kind of stadiums that have been in the SPL in the past, they've been in the league in the past. They just need a little bit of money coming into the clubs from bigger teams coming. It's there. But as I remember the old days where we were waiting on the bigger teams such as the Magners and Hearts and Hibs. Yes. Um, Stephen says, "All right, everyone, hail hail." Chilbo says, "Lorna, it's very difficult to get behind them when you look when they weren't even trying." Who's not trying? We need a team full of Kieran's. I hope you're not saying Kieran Tierney because he's injured more times than he's not, and he's been injured ever since he left Celtic, pretty much, and he's still injured. And I don't think he will go back to Arsenal. Morag says, "I can't see the extra small jerseys beating them twice." This is not toxicity. It's an option for people to give their opinions and listen. Then you might change your opinion. Yeah, that's what this channel is. It's about airing your views. It's probably one of the one channels. Although I've noticed a lot of other channels have started getting people's comments up. It's good to be copied. Anyway, the team and Brendan will be feeling bad enough, so us fans need to support them, not slag them off. It's about sacking the manager. Come on, we're better than that. Lorna, I'm only being realistic, and I'm not talking about sacking the manager. If you look at the title of the video, it does say, "So who would be your manager?" If and the thumbnail is if, and it's a big if. If it does happen that we do not win anything, we don't win the league. Say we win the Scottish Cup. Do the club then turn around to Brendan and say it's not working? And the question is, who would be your next manager? Of course, we're going to back him. Dunfermline was a big club when I was young. Jocklow, Dunfermline were a massive club in the 70s. They were a massive club in the 70s. So for people to say that we don't want lower clubs in, it's absolutely it's bonkers. Anyway, Lorna, I get a chill pill, but we need to keep the faith in our team. Yes, we do need to keep the faith in our team. Come on, let's back Brendan, says Kakawaka. Says Kakawaka. My throat is going tonight. It was on far too many times yesterday. Right, remember to give the video a thumbs up. There is over 160 people watching at the current moment. And what else has gone wrong with Celtic? I mean, Kilmarnock at the weekend, a 1-1. A 1-1 at Kilmarnock. Right, when you look at the games that are still to be played, right? When you look at even this weekend, you look at the fixtures. Rangers are away to Hearts of Midlothian. They're away to Hearts. Hearts, who currently sit third in the league, will be thinking we can close the gap on the Rangers if we win that game. Hearts are usually never play that well against them. It has to be said. It has to be said. Sure, they actually let them win sometimes, but that's Chris Sutton territory, isn't it? The fact that they are on 51 points and Rangers are on 62 could we're on 62, sorry. Could Hearts close the gap with us to try and get that a little bit closer, and then that would be Rangers dropping 3 points. Let's look at the best case scenario for Celtic. Say Hearts take points off them this weekend. And they're never going to win away at Rangers. But then you never know. We play Motherwell away on the Sunday. The worst case scenario, they've won and they're 5 points ahead. When you look at the next week, we play Dundee. The next Wednesday, we play Dundee away from home. Rangers are away to Kilmarnock. I wonder if Kilmarnock will play just as good um, against us. Remember, Kilmarnock have taken points off them this season. If they were to drop points for Kilmarnock, it's game on. It's game on. That would then put us top of the league by 1 point. So it's all to play for. I think that some of us have been getting a little bit excited with the media headlines. The watery farts can do us. Hearts will do for call. Michael Ross says the watery farts can do us. Michael Beale's been sacked. Yes, Michael Bean will go down as history as the worst manager for Rangers and Sunderland in the same season, but that's enough about them. Who cares? I lay down to they lay down to Hearts. I'll lay down to them. The Huns stand up and fight against Celtic. Graham Hardy says, if we win every game between now and end of the season, we will win the league. It is that simple. Yes, it is. Historically, just getting time out. Give me 2 seconds because I'm seen enough of this. Time out. There we go. If you're going to put the same message up every 2 minutes, you're getting a timeout. After the split, we've got 4 home games. Will we get 4 home games? Because for many, many years, we've been due 3 home games, we've been due 4 home games, and we end up getting 2 home games. Chilwell says, we are definitely still in this. A league of 20 and the rest of the teams could go semi-professional. Yes, they could. How many penalties do they need to win the league? Who cares? As long as Celtic keep on winning and getting the 3 points between now and the end of the season, we can do it. We can win the league. I don't want to see Brendan getting sacked. I want to see Brendan stand by his word. Stand by your man. I want to see Brendan stand by his word and stand on the footsteps of Celtic Park at the end of May. At the end of May, once the dust has settled, and hopefully Celtic are still champions. I'm telling you, I think we still can do it. I was going to sing, but I've done enough singing to do my lifetime. What's Shanklin, pure Hun? Yep, crap in front of goal, need a striker. Coach, ask Henrik to come in and coach, add some inspiration. Cool that says, Baz, are you confident that we can still, with every game left? As long as we go... naturally, I'm an optimistic type of person. Naturally, I'm optimistic. And I think that when you start thinking negativity all the time and you start thinking that you're not going to do it, you don't do it. It's as simple as that. This team, the manager and the players need to keep on thinking and believing that they can do it. I think this could be the first time since, was it 2007? It wasn't. Yeah, it must have been about was it 2007 when it went to the last game of the season? I think it could be one of those ones. I think it could be one of those seasons where it goes right down to the last game of the season. It could go right to the wire. So be prepared. Be prepared, Celtic fans. We could all the way to Albuquerque. Did you like that? I'm backing Brendan Rodgers all the way to Albuquerque. And he's dancing frog. It's oh my god. Anyway, John, 5:30 finish now, Baz. I missed the first half of the show. John, what are you doing working to 5:30? Is that site going that far behind? Jesus, I thought the building sites were all shutting down and the country was in recession. Tamak says there's no point in being negative about all the scraps if I can keep the faith. Cool Daddy says, just going by recent performances, GT Boy 67 is in the house. Anyone think that the Diet Huns will rest Shankland? No, they won't. Lanky said, food for thought. Since Harry Kuehl has left, there's been a drop off with our wingers. I don't think so, Lanky. Our wingers have been terrible all season. he left just at the turn of the year. So nah, our wingers have been terrible all season. So I don't buy that one. John Paul Murray says, don't see the trophy being raised in Perth on Sunday. No, it won't be. Still in the races, and don't forget we are still the holders of the league. Sevco were almost in the same boat as us yesterday until the officials stepped in and put out. God, don't say that, Baz. Couldn't take it the last day. Martin, I'm going to say it just now. I think the league will go down to the last two games of the season. And that's my honest opinion. I think we're in for a hell of a ride. I think if we beat them twice, that'll give us a bit of breathing space. If we win every single game and we beat them twice, it might give us a bit of breathing space. But if not, Lanky, we've been awful since last February. Yeah, we have. Um, They have. Edward says, so Baz, I think we'll go to the last game. We will win it, Hale. Hale. Lorna Gallagher says, who's up for a day out in May to meet Brendan and the boys? Party still on the cards. We can do this. Why are we not replacing Kuhl? I think we did replace him, did we not? We did. We brought someone else in that Brendan had worked with before. And there's not a lot being said about him. Lanky, we will win the title with 2 points clear of them. When it comes down to the next two derbies, Rodgers, Daddy, Desmond must go. And Stuart says, Lorna, I will pick you up. Absolutely fantastic this evening once again. How long have we been on for? We've been on for 31 minutes. That's enough for tonight. It is Monday night. We'll be coming out with a Celtic video tomorrow morning. We might do. Please don't let it go down to goal difference. I hope not, because then we'll all be panicking. Hazel. Trouble says Taylor is a diehard for us. Taylor is now a diehard for us. Yes, he is. And Chilpel, that's something that you never thought that you would be saying a couple of seasons ago. Because you were one of the guys that's saying that Taylor we need to get rid of Taylor. We need a left back. We need Taylor out. And now you're saying Taylor is now a diehard for us. I love him. That's Celtic fans all over the world love him. We replaced him with some Sojo. Oh Jesus, goodness! I need to look out for the variant. Says Martin. Michael Ross says hail hail. Adam Sandler. That's it. It was Adam Sandler, the actor. Adam Sandler. How could we have forgotten about that? Anyway, on that note, I'm done and dusted for the evening. Scales must go, says Fish and Stevie. Anyway, cheers everyone. So proud to be a Tim. I always liked Taylor. Never said that. I'm sure you did. I'm positive. There was many that did. Anyway, it's been fantastic this evening again. We might do a lunchtime live tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. And that note, have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans all around the world.